Hey everyone, Kyle once again, and welcome back to the movie review and the first review of this year's Halloween month of October. Once again, in the spirit of Halloween, and this time fitting now be able to finally get to tackle this franchise, and that is finally of the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. And once if you can see the lighting here is a little bit brighter right here. I don't know why, but so if you notice. But I finally get to review the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. So like last year I did the Friday the 13th franchise. Now I'm doing this one, and hope you all looking forward to hearing my thoughts on the whole franchise. So, but this is what I have here is the Nightmare on Elm Street collection. The box set includes all of the 1 through 7 Wes Craven's New Nightmare, and includes the Nightmare series encyclopedia. Nice to have. And I also like the look on all each of the covers. I like that they all used up all the posters in the film, the original theoretical posters in the film. I like that though. So I'm going to review the whole franchise, including Freddy vs. Jason, which I reviewed for the Friday the 13th films because I always thought this is more of a Freddy's movie, from my perspective. And of course, this, one of the worst remakes. Another one I have here is just a show off that I have this is the Never Sleep Again the Elm Street Legacy, which is a 4-hour documentary, which I think is a great documentary on this. It gives more in depth on stuff of the whole franchise. So just to show off, Never Sleep Again documentary, the Elm Street Legacy. But first off, now getting all to that. First off, the review of Halloween month is reviewing of the first Nightmare on Elm Street. And like I said, I liked how they kept all the whole ones they use of the original artwork, the original posters, which I think is cool because I like the posters of these films. So, and with the first Nightmare on Elm Street, directed by now the late Wes Craven, who's now passed away a couple years ago. May he rest in peace. I mean, with Nightmare on Elm Street, what more has been said about how many times by everybody how it's a classic, considered one of the best horror films of all time, and like I said, with more can said that's been said 100,000 times. I mean, great cast. You got John Saxon as which I've met twice actually. John Saxon from Into the Dragon, other films as well. You got Ronee Blakley who plays the mom. Heather Langenkamp who does a great job as Nancy Thompson. And of course, this is the film debut for Johnny Depp. For all these choices of roles he's done the past I don't know, probably say how many years now, but him just playing just a normal kid. But a favorite film of his was Sleepy Hollow from Tim Burton, or underrated film. I'll probably say underrated thriller film Nick of Time, where he was just playing just a normal guy. But he's doing like all these weird choices, like like from Mordecai or Mad Hatter, or the quirky roles he takes on. Even but even before that, but Nightmare on Elm Street though, like I say, it's a classic and just a great cast, and of course the highlight of the whole franchise, Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger. I know, just like I said, how many times have people said how Robert Englund he's perfect as Freddy Krueger, just iconic, memorable. Just no one else do a better Freddy Krueger. Jackie Earle Haley as the Elm Street 2010 remake. He's just nothing compared to Freddy Krueger. Uh, as compared to Freddy Krueger, nothing compared as Robert Englund. It's just the 2010 remake was just complete trash. But it's just no one will ever do Freddy Krueger. Nothing. I think I even once heard there not that long ago there was a report of doing another reboot of Nightmare on Elm Street, and they wanted Kevin Bacon for playing for. I mean, I like Kevin Bacon as an actor. It's just he just seemed awkward to play Freddy Krueger, but still, if he was not close to what Robert Englund was. But and I'm not talking about 5 minutes in and talking about the plot though. It's just what more I guess is it's about a guy who stalks people and kills people in their dreams. But the story behind how this film came to be though is like because I guess how because Wes Craven during the few years with his first film Last House on the Left and the original Hills of Eyes, and he did Swamp Thing and I think another film he did, I forget, but though those films weren't that big hits, so I guess he was kind of like down his luck that his films were not getting hits, and then this idea came to be where I guess looking up that that there was like about these I guess it was like I guess Southeast Asia, I guess there were these people I guess were having these unexplained deaths that they were dying in their sleep, I guess. And I guess they kind of guess away, because I guess that people were afraid to going to sleep, and the other ways they go to sleep, they die in their sleep. Whether it's some paranormal or actually nightmares or stuff like that, and also taking and in that part, and I guess also how Fred Krueger came to be. I guess so. There was a guy named Fred who used to bully Wes Craven from when he was a kid, I guess, and with the hat, and I guess there's someone like stalked like on his window wearing a hat, I guess. But if that's how Freddy Krueger came to be, I guess also with the finger claws, I guess with a cat, I guess a cat just like did this to him, I guess. How the claw was, but all this stuff coming to be. First of all, with how people were afraid to go to sleep back at South Asia, I guess it was very creepy, I guess. And how how the idea came to be, how just people dying in their dreams. Just a creepy experience, an incidents, and then we get this, and it's just, and the whole idea is, because people die in their dreams, and you can do anything in your dreams, right? And just that's how this thing back in the day, how ideas like this back in the day, it was called like original ideas and stuff like that, because you can do anything you want in your dreams, but in the nightmares, you do a lot of stuff, especially in the later sequels. Just being imaginative and creative and stuff, and just nowadays, nothing is imaginative creative nowadays. Everything has to be all like remakes, reboots, just nothing original nowadays. Because you hardly see anything original nowadays, except for like maybe once in a blue moon for like originally something that's kind of refreshing, but there's bound to be some once in a while just for something new and refreshing though. But it's hard to come by nowadays whenever they want to do remakes and reboots and just nothing new. They just want to, and especially with the CG too heavy on CG and green screen effects, hardly do anything practical nowadays. Just it's just good to look back on these things. How inventive and creative it was, back then, especially in horror films with excellent special effects and makeup and stuff. Which I think Heather Langenkamp actually she has also helped us like makeup and stuff like that. So that was also another thing that's to know about her. So, which Heather Langenkamp, she does a great job as Nancy. And so, but how this whole story of how the whole idea came to be just really, a cool idea, I guess. In a way, messed up idea because how the way that, like I said, the Asians, how the people, what happened to those people, but take some of a messed up idea, but turn into a real fun, imaginative idea as well. So a good flip, a good was it the good side of the coin to it is, I guess, how the saying is, but still. But it's more. What more can I say? Okay, how it opens up with how shows Freddy Krueger creating his finger claw, razor claw, the knife glove, and then pardon me, and how it opens up with our character Tina, played by Amanda Walls. I don't remember her last name. And then she sees she's walking, and all of a sudden there's a random lamb walk in, and she's being stalked by a guy that she doesn't know. She's wearing the red and green sweater, burned up with the fedora, with the knife finger glove, and with our characters, we got Nancy, played by Langenkamp, Glenn by Johnny Depp, Tina's boyfriend named Rod, played by Nick Corri, and with Nancy's parents, her father's a cop, the sheriff, played by John Saxon, her mother, played by Ronee Blakley. She's a smoker. She drinks, and the marriage is they're married. Her and John Saxon, the marriage is a bit like on the rocky side, and just with more stuff about more stuff memorable. What was it? Who did the music by Charles Bernstein? Creates a memorable score, or just especially when it gets the intense moments, yeah. But really great, memorable score, and especially the good lines of dialogue as well. Especially when Tina, she gets that nightmare, and when asks her friends to stay with her for the night, and when Nancy's asleep, the memorable scene where Freddy Krueger is pressing himself through the wall, which is not was a CG. It's like something against the wall, which for a low budget film made it work very easily. Of course, the 2010 remake, that scene was just all badly done CGI, just really cheap looking and bad looking. But that scene was most memorable too. But it was really easy. It was it probably looked like a wall was made like a maybe I'll say plastic or something like that. Just how the imprint of him coming through the wall. And then Tina, when she's having her dream into a nightmare, she sits out in the back in the alley. Then Freddy Krueger shows up, his arms stretching up, and then the memorable line. To me, I'd say it's a memorable line to me. She goes, "Please God," and then Freddy Krueger's like, "Robert Englund, this is God." Starts running after her, and then she turns. He's right in front of her because it's a dream. He can do anything in this. Just look at Robert Englund, just memorable, just love just how the dark, scary looking Freddy Krueger. Which now in the sequels, he's more lighter tone and more funny, goofy. But this even in part 2, he still was a dark and evil looking Freddy. And Robert Englund, once again, like how everyone would know about Robert Englund, is top notch and just excellent, perfect casting all the way around. Just every positive thing in the book people can say about Robert Englund's Freddy Krueger. Even people say it 1,000 times. I'm probably just repeating for the people, but once again, Robert Englund is just phenomenal as Freddy Krueger, memorable and iconic, classic. And like you see, she's just like messing with Tina, just cuts off his fingers, and then when she fold over, just takes the piece of face off, and it's like a face skull. And then when Rod pulls the covers, just her Tina gets slashed open. She's lifted up, and then like on top of the seal, which they make it slanted, so that's why she's up there. Really, how the way they do it, like I said, they make it slanted, or like how I describe. I'm trying to say this the best, but that's how the way they did it. How well done, and Then she just falls in the bed all bloodied up, and then he runs away. And when Nancy's on her way to school, Rod takes her and just talks to say that he didn't do it. He didn't do anything about it. But then he gets captured by the cops, and Nancy's at school and she's dreaming. She sees Tina in a body bag and be dragged away by invisible force. And then the runs to the crazy girl wearing the sweater and is like, "No running in the halls." And then gets to the boiler room, and then just chasing Nancy and come to Freddy. And she wakes up by getting a burn mark. She burns herself, and that's how she wakes up from it and has the burn mark on her. And when she gets to another nightmare, seeing about Tina again, and then when she gets to the stairs, it's like I'm not saying like it's quicksand, but it's like paste. It's like made of putty or paste or whatever. And then with her when I said that because Glenn was there thinking, don't let me fall asleep and all that, and you wake me up, and crashes through the door, and before that she saw the prison of Rod at the wall where he comes through the bars. So they both go to the police station to see Rod. Of course, he gets the sheet hangs around his neck and he gets hanged. And then when that her mom takes her to this sleep clinic, and where she's hooked up, and when she's asleep, it's like what are those things called, just to measure her dreams and all that. It's like those machines on a Richter scale, when the earthquake comes, does like this to measure what was the earthquake. It's something like that she gets rigged up to. And the doctor, I look it up, I think it's the doctor Charles Fleischer. I think that's the guy who voiced Roger Rabbit in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. And so you get it right. Yeah, he voiced he voiced Roger Rabbit. So that was kind of neat. Before Who Framed Roger Rabbit, he played this doctor at the sleeping clinic. So she's asleep, and then you don't see her in nightmare, but she's like getting all freaking out. And as they're watching, and she gets a cut on her, the claw marks on her arm, and then she pulls up. She brought back from her dream. She got his hat. She pulled it out from her dream. And her mother knows stuff. She knows all about this, and because she knows it was about Fred, because it said Fred Krueger, but she knew about him, and one day she goes because now she goes get a little crazy, because she goes and bars up all the houses and bars up the windows, and she takes it to the cellar to show her, explain who Fred Krueger was, and she has the knife glove with her. Explain that because he killed kids, and he was set free. I think it was on a technicality. They decided to search the warrant properly, and he was let free. So we all know the story of how Fred Krueger was killed, because the parents, they weren't having it. They want their revenge, and Nancy's mother was a part of the posse, and they burned him alive where he was at, in the boiler room. So now here is Honey Nut Cheerios. But and he's saying he's dead. He can't hurt you no more. And calls Johnny Depp across the street, and I was like, whatever you do, don't fall asleep. And when she falls asleep, of course, you get the more about it with Fred Krueger messing with her. It's like, I'm your boyfriend now, Nancy. With the phone turns into a tongue. But since she becomes a prisoner in her house because her mom barred up the windows, Johnny Depp, he's in his room, falls asleep. Johnny Depp, his death was also very memorable and iconic as well. He gets dragged down into his bed, and then also this big geyser of blood goes to the ceiling with that Charles Bernstein's music. Just this huge fountain geyser of blood. Just, you know, just this is Johnny Depp for his first film. He gets one of the memorable horror film deaths. So now, it's only up to her. So she goes and sets the traps in the house, and she makes herself fall asleep, so she can drag him out into the real world, and which eventually she does. I mean, at first she thought it didn't work, but then pops up right behind her, and then of course she has the sledgehammer at her door, just boom, just hits him, getting the crap beaten out of him, and then it sets up another explosive that makes him fly back like, Pwah! And Freddy Krueger's his memorable voice, and then takes into the cellar, and dumps a glass of gasoline or something flammable, and it's like, no. I thought it was kind of funny when he says, no, lights his ass on fire, and then finally gets her dad over there. Then she follows the flaming footprints upstairs where he's on fire still. And it was also good to see clearly it's a stunt guy when Freddy Krueger's on fire, when the cellar. It's a good stunt double on fire, actually physically on fire. But they follow up to chase up to her mother's room. She's being killed by Freddy Krueger, who's still on fire. And John Saxon just puts the blanket over them. But then he disappears, and when the mother's burnt corpse sinks into the bed and disappears. And when her father leaves, she knows he's still there, so he pops off the bed, and then he's like, I know your secret now. He basically says, I'm give into your fears, you be scared, he gives you the power. And she's like, I want my mother and friends back. I've taken back every energy that I gave you. You're nothing. You're shit, basically. It's just stop being afraid of him, that's what it is. And then he tries to lunge at her, he disappears. And then this the next morning where her mother and her friends are there in the car, and like when the convertible, the top comes up, it's the color of the red and green sweater. So this is still a dream as they drive away. And of course, I'm sure a lot of people have a problem with the ending. I do too. That's the only thing I have with the ending, is what people would say is how the film ended. Is how the mother, she gets grabbed by Freddy Krueger through the door and just pulls in. Like you see, it's clearly a mannequin being pulled in through the door, and the window through the door window, the little window that's through the door. Clearly, it's a mannequin being pulled in. Yeah, of course, I'll give that as the one little problem, because producer Bob Shea, that was his idea, and Wes Craven had it differently. So I will say to Bob Shea, that was not a good idea. I just went with Wes Craven's first idea, but what can we do about it? It's already said and done. But I will say that's the only problem with it, was the ending of it, how it just left like that. So, but other than that, though, Nightmare on Elm Street. What more can I say? Nightmare on Elm Street, classic. Great. The cast does a great job. They're directed by Wes Craven. But like I said, Robert Shea should have went with Wes Craven's ending, but let's say it's what's done is done. You got your ending, but other than that, that nitpick, it's still a memorable horror film. Great score by Charles Bernstein, and it's only on for about, where's the running time for this? 92 minutes, but it's easily fast paced. John Saxon was good. Ronee Blakley as the mother of Nancy, she did a good job as well. Heather Langenkamp, phenomenal as Nancy. Like I said, first role, Johnny Depp did a good job. And like I said, Robert Englund, memorable as Freddy Krueger. What more can I say about that? So, I'm sure, like I said, what I've said hasn't been said like 100 times, so people have like reviewed this film, and yeah. So that's what I'm trying to say, because like I said, it's just what have not said, what have I said has not been said before. So, but yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street, it's definitely because Wes Craven. I love Shocker. I love People Under the Stairs. Serpent and the Rainbow. I'm not the biggest fan of his first two films. I'm not the biggest fan of the original Last House on the Left, and I'm the biggest fan of the original Hills of Eyes. I know he directed the part 2, which was not that great, honestly. I think he just did it for the money because like I said, he was probably down in the dumps, because his films were not big hits, so he needed the money. but this was his big hit, and this would made him get more good movies. The other way, we get Shocker, we get People Under the Stairs, we got Serpent and the Rainbow, and then of course in the mid '90s, Scream was his breakout film that made a lot of money. The first Scream, and followed the more sequels which were hits. But Wes Craven, he will be sadly missed. He was definitely a master of horror film, along with John Carpenter and Stephen King and George A. Romero. He was a good masterful of horror and suspense as well. Just he sadly will be missed. But yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street, definitely a classic. It's I thought I had something else to say, but I guess not. But like I said, what more can I say? Robert Englund, memorable, iconic, great cast, great score, and just a memorable considered one of the best horror films in film history. And just like it was just imaginative and creative, just the whole idea of the dreams and all that, and someone talking in their dreams. You do a lot of crazy stuff in dreams, and that's why in the sequels you get more of that. But yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street, 2 thumbs up. What more can I say? Classic. By how many people have said it before. But yeah, but thanks for watching, and stay tuned for part 2, Freddy's Revenge. Later.